Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on today's edition of Flipside. My name is Daisy Leo Asikidi and we will be talking about World Population Day. It isn't today, but unfortunately it didn't fall on a Wednesday. I really love to talk on international days exactly on the day it happens to celebrate it. Well, no one says we cannot push the day forward or push it a bit backwards. It's not fixed for us on the show. Now, World Population Day, it's put together by the United Nations to talk about population issues and the way forward, challenges that we need to deal with, and for nations to actually carry out thorough statistics on their population. They give us the figures on that day, but unfortunately Nigeria is not one of those nations. We don't really know how many people are in the country. We don't have a statistics that says this is the number of children that comes into the nation on a daily with their names, like some kind of biodata. We've not gotten to that stage, so we have an estimate of about 200 million people. But on World Population Day, we're going to be focusing on population growth concerns. Many people have fears about the way we're increasing. Many people are saying we're just fine. And a lot of these thoughts have led to questions and concerns in our hearts. And we'll try as much as we can on Flipside today to handle the few we can handle in the time we have here on the show. I have a guest in the house who will be talking with me on this topic. He's an environmentalist, a geographer, and I will let you meet him right now. Okay, so I have Professor Isi Ihoria with me in the studio. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
He's a professor of geography from the University of Benin, very close to us, but unfortunately now, schools are not really in session, so he has time for us. Welcome.
Thank you.
One of the major thing that keeps crossing people's minds when we talk about the estimated number of people in Nigeria, okay, it's estimated to be about 200 million people as at this 2020. The 2019, that was still the estimate we gave. 2018, it was about 168 to 200. It hasn't really changed in the past 3 years, so we're still working with that estimate for now. But with about 200 million people in Nigeria alone, do you think we are overpopulated?
Thank you, Daisy. I am not a population expert. I have done research on how to estimate or determine the population of a place, a town, a city, using modern technologies, what we call the remote sensing, geographic information systems, and cartographic approaches. That is my background, to population knowledge.
Yeah.
So I will do my best from general knowledge to address the issues.
Okay.
Yes, we are estimated to be about 200 million people. To say whether we are overpopulated, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
But I will say we have our population size is quite enormous. It's large compared to other countries, compared to the geographic space we occupy, comparing it to other countries. We have a large population. But is that population an oversize? I cannot say for now.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the dangers? Let's even assume we're just normal in size at this stage. I mean, no one is. We know we have hunger and people are complaining about a lot of things that some would say is as a result of our growth, uncontrolled growth. But what are the major issues that could really arise when a nation is overpopulated?
There are a number of issues. The problem with our population for now is that it is bottom-based. If you look at the population structure, I brought a graph, don't know if you can see it. You will find that this is Nigeria.
Okay.
You see, between the age of 0 and 15 or 18, we are here. Over 45% of our population is concentrated here. You know, that is children and teenagers.
Yeah.
They are not, they are in the group we regard as non-productive. When you are 18, you are an adult and above, then you become productive. So if we are 200 people and 45% of that is not productive, that means about 90 to 100 million of us are not productive. They are children. To provide for that group is a lot of problem.
Yeah.
In terms of feeding, food, in terms of education, and many other aspects related to, they are maturing to the age of 18. When it is expected they should be able to fend for themselves or account for themselves. So we have so much issues there, so many issues. But when you compare that to that of an advanced country, Sweden,
wow.
This is usually the standard used in the world, Sweden. You see that the structure is almost uniform. The youth base is very small. And you see that the productive group is quite a large population.
Yes.
That will take care of both the youth and the adult age. The reverse is completely our situation.
Okay, is there any advantage of overpopulation?
Any advantage? I would say if the population is large, there should be some advantages.
Okay.
If it is well harnessed, we like I said now, we have a large, youth base, childhood base from 0 to 18. But if the structure were like that of Sweden, and we still have a large, a group, a large population in that group, but are now being, through government policies and activities, they are productive, then there will be some advantages. Let me draw maybe an analogy here. If a man has 10 children, maybe from 2 or 3 wives, and 7 of those children are between 1 and 10 years, and his income is in the low income group, perhaps 30,000 a month, certainly there will be challenges.
A lot.
But if another man has 8 or 10 children, and he has access to, let's say, an oil well, where he earns $1,000 a day, or rather 400,000 naira a day, that size is not significantly a problem to him. So if a country vis-a-vis these resources, the population vis-a-vis the resources, has enough resources, and the population is large, but it has resources to cater and is well planned, then the size of population would not necessarily be a problem, because every segment of the population is productive.
Okay.
But our case, as I've said from the beginning, we are almost 100 out of the 200 are not productive.
Okay. A lot of people say the reason why we have the highest number of out-of-school children is because of our population growth. Now, in 2018, UNFPA said we were the country with the highest number of out-of-school children. So a lot of children, we might pass through Uselu Market because we are in this access to Oluku and see maybe 20 children hawking, cleaning windshields, but the number of children who actually are not going to school, you might not be hawking in your streets, are enormous. Those that are being maids are there. Those that are in their mother's shops, they're not hawking, but they're there. There are those who will drop out eventually. They started school, they just stopped, maybe they lost the parent, and a lot of things. Let's not even go into the villages. So we have a lot of out-of-school children. And now we've also gotten a new title for the nation with the highest number of poor people as well. So many are saying the reason why we have these huge numbers of out-of-school children and the poor is because we grow a population. If our population isn't that much, we would not have that much number. Do you think it's the population growth that's the reason why we're having more of these, or maybe government's inability to put things in place to ensure the citizens don't get hungry or poor and get uneducated?
It's a mixed meal. Mixed meal in the sense that, yes, our population growth rate put now at about between 3.3 to 3.5 is pretty high. If you compare us to a small nation as Cuba, Cuba has a population of roughly about 12 million.
Wow.
But the population density is about, I think, 216. But the growth rate is negative.
You know, given
the is minus 0.6. Wow. So the children entering the population every year is very small. That, in the past 5 years, it has been like that. You will say that allows the government to plan. But of course, we also know that Cuba has always been a country that has been planning for its people, for its progression, in spite of the challenges, environmental and political. Right, its citizens' educational status is quite high. Recently, the CNN was reporting they were exporting medical personnel to other countries to help with the COVID-19 problem. Okay. But when you have a nation like ours, where the youth stage is very large, it will be a problem. Yes, and the resources available, and those who have access to that resource for their well-being, if quite a number do not have access to the resource, then you have poverty as setting. And if that group still reproduce at such a high rate, then the poverty obviously is not being alleviated. It will keep, rearing its ugly head in our development, in our resource, use. So the challenge is the government, the authorities have to develop strategies to reduce poverty, I won't say reduce population, but to control population growth. There has to be some strategies so that we do not outstrip the resources available.
Okay. Talking about that government policy, okay, I'll keep that question for the last, because that one is a big one. Many people also say there's global warming. And there are also a lot of people who say global warming is not real. It's just a scam. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I see changes in climate. I see changes even in the August break we call. Does it really come in August anymore? The raining season, when it starts, when it stops, all these things are changing. So you can't tell me there's no climate change, because I see things around me. I see videos on social media. I see places that doesn't really have flooding issues begin to have it, and it's not really because they don't have drainage system. The water levels, the waters that come in are more. They say the Arctic is melting, and all of these things. There are many reasons that are quite convincing. So I am one of those who believe in climate change and global warming. You can believe what you want to believe. Some people are of the opinion that one of the major reasons why we have global warming is because of population, overpopulation, population growth. The more people, the more destructions they are given to the earth. But do you really think we can fix climate change and this whole ozone layer depletion crisis with having fewer babies?
The notion of climate change, I believe, is real.
Okay, I'm not alone.
The scientists have said so, and they have shown various evidences that there is climate change. One is certainly the melting of the ice in the polar regions, and other is the depletion of our ozone. Others are the industrial activities in the developed or industrial nations, particularly the use of coal and so on. So that concept is real, yes. And locally, as you have mentioned, we are seeing indices and indicators that what used to be several years before now have started changing.
Yeah.
You just mentioned the August break. Yes, August break fluctuates between mid-July and middle of August. Sometimes now you find that it rains throughout.
Yes.
And maybe only 3 days is dry. Sometimes we have a week, sometimes 2 weeks, but the entire 1 month that we used to experience as August break is a bit rare now.
Very rare.
Yes. Is population growth contributing to the climate change? Of course. As there are more people in the world, so also they will utilize resources. So also the productive industrial nations will continue to burn, energy in such rate that it will affect our ozone, layers and so on. But all of these, and as various schools of thought have also propounded, is strategies to control, to moderate, so that we do not, outstrip or go over the edge of what is tolerable.
Okay, now back to the point you made before this question about governments, policies, and all that to control the number of the population growth. I know in China, it's one example that many people would cite, when they had overpopulation issue, they put a law that you can have more than one child, and it was observed, if you're going to have more than one, there was a tax you needed to pay, and it was really enormous. Everyone just advised themselves. Most people did, and they started having one. Until recently, they now increased it to you can have 2 children, and China is really, really developed. Trust me. Now, do you think putting a restraint on the number of children families should have in Nigeria is going to solve most of our problems? Do you think it's going to work?
There had been a policy before. During the Babangida regime, there was a population policy on number of children, where it was decided that 4 children per couple.
Wow.
There was that policy. Well, it had some, religious connotations. Some people objected to it based on religion. The Christian with 1 wife would only have 4. The Muslim that is allowed to have 4 wives
16.
would have 16. So I don't know if there was government strategies to implement to ensure that people do not have more than 4 per couple. I do not know if government implemented that, but socially there was this discussions and talk about what is the eventual target. It is desirable that you have you limit or also control what people should have, the number of children they should have, so that you can manage the population. But perhaps rather than saying pegging it on a figure, maybe education, educating the people. If you have 16 children and they are in the streets, you can't cater for them, you don't even care for them, it's not that very, I don't think it's very good compared to the one who has only 2, that he knows where they are at any time, can educate them, provide for them, feed them, so that they are, responsible individuals or persons in the society. So that means that educating the people on quality child rearing should be emphasized rather than the number. Now you mentioned China. China had that policy of 1 child. And what happened? Yes, it did help to slow down the population growth, but they also had other social problems. For example, people, I think perhaps all over the world, you'll find that there is this gender issue of the masculine, the gender want a male child. And China culturally favored having a male child. And so you find many families, when the woman is pregnant and they go to test and find it's female, they do not bring it to 10. And they then prefer, they want to wait to have a male. Then you now have
abortions.
Communities with more males, less female, and there were no female to marry. That same thing happened in India, where in the caste system, they preferred more male, and then there were no female within that social group to go around. Let us say, for example, there are 20 males and only 5 females. Then within that social group, about 15 or more will not have a wife. And if you go to and import female from another social group, then you become an outcast. Or So China had that problem, and then of course, when the population was controlled and it seems to be on the decline, they also revised the policy. Now, as you said, they can now allow 2 children. But again, for emphasis, I will say, pegging it on the figure for Nigeria, which we may not be able to implement, I would rather emphasize that we educate our people on quality childbearing. Produce the number of children you can care for, you can provide for, you can raise to be responsible, citizens, rather than, having children for the pleasure of it, and you don't even know, where they are, how they grow, what, the problem they are to the society.
Okay. I had a discussion with the pastor that was last year, before November, I think October or September last year, and we had this discussion about population control, and he said it's not something we should even advise people to embrace, because in the South, many people are now having 3 children, 2 children, and our population is reducing, and we will never have political power if we continue like this. In the northern region, they're having numerous children, and when it's time for election, they always will win, and that was his reason why he said we should reproduce as much as we can. Everyone has a point and they can argue their point, but I think the point of education is key, really key, not only in the southern part of the region, even in the northern part of Nigeria. When women are educated, especially when women are educated, they have better children, they raise their children more, they have more responsible kids. And that in turn gives us a better society. The youths are the biggest issues we could have. If they are terrorists, everyone is afraid. If they are peacemakers, everyone will be at peace. So let's do all and educate our nation. If we educate our nation, we'll have less problems. And the issue of hunger and poverty, with proper education, I think we can develop technologies that can provide for us and give us food without necessarily using a large expanse of land. We're talking cultural tomatoes, greenhouse reproduction of food now. Not going to the regular farms with hoes and cutlasses and talking about weeds and stuff. Science is here to help us, and we all need to embrace it. And without education, we can't tap into science. I want to say thank you so much, Professor, for being with me on the show today. And I look forward to other times on Flipside with him. Thanks for watching. You can get this video on YouTube and watch any part of it you missed out on, or put your comments or questions on our page. I'm Daisy Leo Asikidi. See you next week.